I wanted to bring Danilo Montero on because I know that he's pretty well known in Latin America, just a little bit. I'll tell a quick story about how I met Danilo. We did a CBN event in Peru back in 2009, I think it was. Gosh, that was a long time ago. How have you not gotten any older, Danilo? Holy smokes. So this was in 2009. We go to
Yes.
Lima, Peru, and we did this event where we handed out deworming pills to basically the whole country. And then we put on this big event in the National Stadium that I thought was going to have about maybe a couple thousand people show up. I thought it was going to be one of those where they set up the stage on the field, and then they have everybody else on the field kind of in chairs down below. But when we got there, the entire stadium was packed to capacity, and they told us there were tens of thousands of people outside the stadium trying to get in. And I was really confused by that because I couldn't figure out why that many people would want to come hear Pat Robertson speak in Lima, Peru. But then I was back in the green room, and I found out that the reason all those people were there was because Danilo Montero was going to be singing, and I had no idea what a big celebrity he was in Latin America. Now, as you can tell, he's a little more guapo than I am, but we do favor each other a little bit. At least we did back then when I didn't have quite as much gray hair. And so I wanted to go and get some footage of all of the people that were trying to get into the stadium. They had closed the stadium, and apparently they were bringing in riot police out there and everything. It was really getting crazy. So they said, well, you can't go out there without a bunch of security people because it's nuts. So they sent a whole team of security guys and my camera crew, and we went out there, and they let us out through a little gate in the fence just to get some footage of all these people. Well, as soon as they turned on the video light and I started to talk to the camera, I looked over, and this girl points at me and says, "It's Danilo!" And all of a sudden, I just saw my life flash before my eyes because it was like the zombie apocalypse happened right there in front of me. And we couldn't get back in the gate where we had come out, so we had to come back in on the other side of the stadium. We took off at a dead sprint with like 700 teenage girls chasing after us and everybody else. And it was one of the most frightening moments of my entire life. We ran all the way around the stadium. We managed to just barely get back in the gate before they slammed it shut, and this whole horde of people just crashed against the gate. And and then so I'm trying to catch my breath and wait till all my body parts get back to their original shape, at that point. And I said, "Hey, guys, I'm going to step into the men's room here real quick. So you guys go on without me, and I'll be right there." So I go into the men's room. There's nobody in there. And I'm standing at the urinal. Well, apparently the people outside had been chanting, "Danilo, Danilo." And some girls on the inside had heard that and had gone down there, and they found out that Danilo had gone into the men's room. So as I'm standing at the urinal, these 4 girls come running in the men's room wanting an autograph. And I'm going, "I'm not Danilo, go away." And
That's crazy.
so when I got back to the green room, I told Danilo, "I don't ever want to be as famous as you are." And he said it's really a problem. That's why we live in the States, because I can't hardly go to the grocery store, So anyway, that's just a funny story. Danilo Montero is a very accomplished musical artist, and not just in Latin America. He's also the pastor of the Latino church at Lakewood Church in Houston. Church of just a little kind of out of the way church of about 90,000 people, something like that. And he's very humble and was very gracious to give us some of his time today. So Danilo, I appreciate you coming on with us. Talk to us just a little bit about how this has affected your congregation and your ministry going through this COVID crisis, and then just give us a little message.
Hi, Chuck. Good morning. It's great to see you. I
It's good to
never,
see you too.
I wasn't expecting to hear all that story, honestly. But well, it's great, and good morning to everybody, and thanks for the honor and the opportunity. Um, I just want to point out that that was a time of favor and grace from the Lord when it comes to Peru and certain nations in Latin America. So I always have heard before this visit that Peru was going through a special time of where people were so hungry for God that we felt like this is the time to go and try to serve the church in Peru. And we all were amazed by what the Lord was doing and the opportunity that we had. Um, well, as you may know, it's been 2 months already, a little bit more for this situation, and we are not able to get together, have big gatherings. The Spanish ministry that we are pastoring would probably gather like 3,500 people on a Sunday. We have Spanish services on Sunday at 2 p.m. and then Thursday nights 7:30. So it's been quite an interesting experience just to try to navigate this time. It Thanks God we have the technology at hand to do things like this, and so that has helped us to reach out to all those leaders, get together, pray together, encourage them, and and um, and try to stay connected through this whole thing. We don't see any opportunity for us to get together again very soon. Um, Pastor Joel have mentioned that he is waiting for those sport organizations to come up with how would they handle big gatherings in the future. And as soon as they have something implemented, or at least a guideline, he would consider coming together and having meetings again, live gatherings. So on the other hand, we have seen record attendance when it comes to internet, virtual services online. It's been amazing. People are connecting. They're connecting from everywhere. And I'm not saying that didn't happen before. What I'm saying is we can see an incredible increment of attendance when it comes to services. So on our Spanish ministry, we open a Bible study on Tuesday nights. That's one thing that we did in trying to respond to the need that we see. So my wife and I have started a Bible study, and which is different to what we normally do, meaning by that we would obviously preach the word on Sundays and Thursdays, but on Tuesday nights, we just picked a book, Ephesians in this case, and we go verse by verse, teaching and trying to get deep into the word and the message that God has for us. So that's basically where we are, Chuck. And on the other hand, I would like to add something else. Even before this crisis started, one morning I was reading Psalm 94, verses 12 to 14. And I would love to share with you, if you allowed me to. And well, you gave me the time right now, so I'm going to do it anyways. And it says, Psalm 94, verses 12 through 14. Joyful are those you discipline, Lord, those you teach with your instructions. You give them relief from troubled times until a pit is dug to capture the wicked. And while I was reading this, it appeared to me that the Lord was telling me, hey, you need to understand that tough times like this have a double message, a double purpose. And what the Lord showed me next has been so helpful. Tough times like this are destined to make you grow in dependence on me. I am going to teach you certain things. I want you to focus your attention in the Word through these tough times, because I'm going to be revisiting, if I can say it like that, some aspects of the truth, some instructions. I'm gonna be correcting you. I'm gonna help you refocus in whatever is most important. My presence, your dependence on me, your family. Why is it that you are here for? And so while I am dealing with you, and by refocusing yourself into what's important, I'm dealing with at the same time with those who do not know me. So to put it in a short sentence, the world is dealing with fear while we are being instructed in wisdom. And that opened up my eyes to understand, if I don't get whatever the Lord is telling us right now, I'm going to miss what he wants us to do or what he is going to do after. So to put it again in a short way, God is preparing us. God is maturing us as his people right now, so that whatever is coming next, we are going to be equipped and we're going to be sensitive to his voice. I want to add one image that really helped me. I know there's maybe lots of people using these passages right now and trying to come with some, teachings about these ideas. I'm going to explain this in a minute, but I don't want to overemphasize a message that is not there. I just want you to focus on one little thing here. I'm talking about the Passover. I'm talking about Exodus. I'm talking about whatever happened that night, that terrible night when the angel was passing through Egypt, judging people, judging Egypt. Whatever was happening outside of the house of an Israelite was totally different. God was dealing with his people. At the same time, he was dealing with those who were not. So in this contrast, that's so important for us. when I was reading, by the way, this is Exodus 12:11. When God told them, these are the instructions, this is what you are going to do while this crisis is taking place, this judgment is taking place. If you do so, then you're going to see a shifting. You're going to see a shifting in your life. And these are the instructions. And to me, honestly, I see a similarity. I see something that it's very important for us as a family right now. Quarantine. God told them to go and shut the door and stay home for just a few hours and do this. Verse 11, these are the instructions for eating this meal. Be fully dressed, wear your sandals, and carry your walking stick in your hand. Eat the meal with urgency, for this is the Lord's Passover. And so what I see here is, again, focus. While the world is experiencing a turmoil and fear and the sense of this is out of control, the people of God were called to a face-to-face encounter with each other and with the Lamb. Meaning by that, I understand this is a time, the Lord was telling me, this is a time that you need to get rooted deeply into Christ, into who is He for you? Who is He? The Son of God, the source of life and hope and peace, and enter into a communion with Him, a deeper communion with Him that would draw you as a family to a deeper communion with each other. And even though it's hard because we have been forced to stay home, in a family that maybe, in some cases or in many cases, has been struggling with issues in the past, now this is a time that I'm giving you to fix, to reconcile, to make peace with each other. And while I'm doing this, just understand this very important message. While you eat the lamb, while you restore relationships, while you focus on whatever is most important for me and for you, I am getting you ready for a shifting. I'm getting you ready. So that's why he says, eat it with a sense of urgency, being fully dressed with shoes in its place, with the walking stick in your hand, because you are going to move into a new time. After this night, before this night, you were slaves. After this night, you will be a freed nation. Before this night, you were carrying burdens. After this night, while you obey me, you are going to worship God in a different way. So I want to encourage you to understand, again, I know you guys know this, but I just want to respectfully remind you that God is dealing with us first, as Psalm 94 says. God is instructing us. God is dealing with us in a gracious way as His people, so that we can move into a place where the world is going to need a voice of hope and peace that comes only through Jesus in us. And one last thing, Chuck, I don't know if I have time, still have time.
Go for it.
This is an image that reinforces what the Lord was telling me before, and that's the story of Elijah in 1 Kings 17, chapter 17. verses 2 and next verses, the following verses. Do you remember that God used Elijah to confront the king? And after that, if I were Elijah, I'm gonna try to imagine what I would have expected to happen. And this is the deal. God is using me to confront the nation, to confront the king. And he's using me to tell them there's going to be a drought. No rain is coming for a nation that is worshiping the God of rain. So you won't see a drop of water for the next few years until I say so. And so here it is, Elijah. Wow, God is using me. What's next? Wow, the whole nation is going to hear me preaching, whatever. No, it's totally the opposite. God tells him, thank you. Now you go and shut down the door. Just go to an isolated place. Go to the east and hide by Kerith Brook. Stay there. Stay there until I tell you. And I am going to sustain you. I am going to feed you. I am going to send ravens to bring you food. So I see another powerful image for us, all of us, in times of crisis. And this is, all of us need this time of isolation, of family time, of silence, just to get tuned with God and listen to whatever He is. He is giving us the word. He's giving us His word. I feel like God is inviting us to open up the word and find jewels, pearls of the Spirit to nurture our lives and our families during this time. And by doing so, God is teaching us again, my people is governed, is protected, is being guided by my word. There's a word in the word that is specific for you, for your family, with promises and commandments, if you want to say so, to guide us through this time. And one last detail in his story that is speaking, wow, so much to me. It's what the Lord did next. He, after a while, the creek was drying up, and here's Elijah again, facing the unexpected, thinking, well, Lord, what's next? What's going to happen? And in verse 8, then the Lord said to Elijah, go and live in the village of Sarepta, in Spanish, near the city of Sidon. I have instructed a widow there to feed you. And again, God is training his prophet while the whole nation is going through a drought. God is instructing and reinforcing his truth in the prophet. The generation that God wants to use as a voice of hope to this nation and to the nations that generation need to go through these trainings of dependence, a deeply dependence on the word of God and the voice of the Spirit, so that we navigate these times, not under fear as the rest of the world, but with expectancy. While we obey God, while we depend on Him, God is going to give us the grace the word, the counsel, the advice to navigate this and become a tool of his presence and hope.
Amen.
I'm reading 1 Kings 17. That's a verse. And I encourage you to understand again. I'm finishing here. That while the world faces fear, we are being encouraged to embrace hope. While the world is under this sense of uncertainty, the people of God is being filled with peace and expectancy. Like Jesus said, told his disciples, when you start seeing these things happening, the world will tremble. But guys, you raised up your heads with expectancy because your salvation is coming. Amen. So this is what the Lord has been dealing with me. Don't follow the pattern of the world with uncertainty in your heart, and don't lose hope. All the contrary, embrace my voice and embrace my word and be filled with hope and expectancy, because I am going to move. I'm going to sustain you, but at the same time, I'm going to move in the world, and I need a people that is tuned in with my spirit and my word.